I don't know about you, but our holidays usually start with the inevitable brochure. It's probably the best piece of fiction you'll encounter during your vacation. Well, from our collection of Booker Prize potentials, we selected a nice little cottage just outside the village of Clun. Clun's not exactly a magnet for tourism, but it does boast a pile of rocks on a hill that the locals proudly exploit as a castle. Not exactly an original piece of marketing considering the number of fine castles there are along the English and Welsh border. In fact, when I tried to locate Clun on the map, it had fallen into the fold between two pages and was covered by a staple. But that just about sums up Clun, really. Once I turned to my trusty Ordnance Survey, we located our cottage nestled between two hills and next to a stream. That's it in the centre of the picture down in the valley. The only route down is by a very steep single-track road, at the bottom of which is a little bridge over a stream before it goes up the hill the other side. Now I've discovered that a 1 in 4 has absolutely nothing to do with gradients, but refers to the number of people who actually manage to walk up it. The listing described our accommodation as quaint and comfortable, which is brochure speak for small and pokey. This place definitely wasn't small, but then this definitely wasn't our lodgings either. We were assigned to the shed around the back of the owner's house. Affectionately called the Miller's Cottage, this conversion was complete with original fake beams, add-on ironwork, and the usual collection of brand new antiques. The garden was described as typically country. Now I'm not sure where the boundary lies between wildflowers and weeds and between a country garden and a rambling mess, but then I'm no expert. But the garden did have a nice secluded corner in which we built our own little stone table for afternoon tea and cocktails. A nice sun trap in which to relax and reflect upon the day's activities. We also had our own little stream. It took a couple of days to find it in the undergrowth. This little brook flowed into the River Unk, which passed through the owner's garden and eventually into the River Onny, which does have a 2-mile picturesque riverside walk called, with true Shropshire originality, the Onny Trail. These walks often begin with a map which details the route. But if you're not sure which way to go, just look across the field and your trail will be marked by huge great lumps of cow dung. Apart from the flies, cow's dung and sheep's poo, it's really quite pretty, even if it did pong a bit. If you continue to walk further along the riverbank, which I had absolutely no desire to do, you'd eventually come to another landmark that should be referred to the Trades Description Act. In my book, castles are big fortified slabs of stonework with battlements, cannons and nasty reminders of medieval torture. Pretty though it was, Stokesay Castle didn't give me the impression that it could have been relied upon to hold back the invading Welsh. Stokesay's probably got a lot to answer for, really. I guess it's the influence of the Welsh, but the whole place is a bit odd. The gatehouse is nearly as big as the main building, and the architecture of the manor has been influenced by the church next door. In fact, one side looks like a church, with the other looking more like a manor house on top of an air raid shelter, whilst the end is the only bit that actually looks like a real castle. You imagine trying to get planning permission for that today. English Heritage describes it as a fortified manor house. which basically means that they haven't got a clue how to categorise it either. Just a short ride north and we came upon a village where the local planning department had obviously resisted all backhanders. One could say that they were also devoid of any imagination, or at the very least that they had shares in black and white paint, because the entire village was, you guessed it, black and white. However, despite all attempts, none of the buildings overshadowed the church. Have you ever seen a prettier church than this? Our next stop was Burford House. As I've said before, I'm no expert, but as far as gardens go, this I can relate to. It's the sort of house and garden that I'd have if I'd won the lottery. But for now, it's a pleasure just to wander through the peaceful settings and look at what can be done if money was no object. At the bottom of the garden was the all-important stream that would eventually flow into the River Severn. This could have been one of the county's best kept secrets if our ancestors hadn't used the route for a railway. I don't know what it is about steam trains that makes them so fascinating to visit, but so damn boring when you have to sit through someone's home movie. Oh God, I hope I'm not turning into an anorak. Now that Geraldine and I have been on the line, it's amazing how often you see different parts of it cropping up in period dramas. One of the stations has even become the set for the TV comedy Oh Dr. Beeching. On film days, which today was, they change all the signs to give the station its television name. I guess it's silly to suggest that it might have been useful to tell the passengers. All journeys have a beginning and an end, and sadly we were at the end of both our train journey and our holiday. Despite all the things I've said about Shropshire, it can't be that uninviting because we've booked up to come back next year.